Hey everyone, I'm Alex, and welcome back to the Grandy Academy YouTube channel. Have you ever had one of those days, or maybe weeks, where you feel incredibly busy, but not actually productive? You know, like you're climbing a ladder as fast as you can, only to realize it's been leaning against the completely wrong wall the whole time. Well, today we're diving into the key lessons from Stephen Covey's legendary book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We're going to tackle that exact feeling and give you a powerful framework for real, lasting change.
So here's our game plan. We're going to follow Covey's model, starting with the core idea that changes everything. Then we'll build the habits for what he calls the private victory. That's all about mastering yourself. From there, we'll move to the public victory, which is about winning with other people. And finally, we'll cover the one habit that keeps all the others going strong. Ready? Let's get into it.
All right, section 1, the inside-out approach. So why do so many self-help tips just fail? Covey argues it's because we're often focused on the leaves, the symptoms, instead of getting down to the roots. Real change, the kind that actually sticks, isn't about quick fixes. It has to start from deep within us.
And this really boils down to two different ways of thinking. For a long time, the focus was on what he calls the personality ethic. Things like your public image, communication skills, maybe some positive thinking techniques. And hey, that stuff can be useful, but it's all secondary. The real foundation, the bedrock of effectiveness, is the character ethic. We're talking about your core principles: integrity, courage, honesty. It's the difference between trying to look good and actually being good.
Covey calls these fundamental ways we see the world our paradigms. The best way to think about a paradigm is like a map. Imagine you have a map of Chicago, but you're actually trying to navigate New York City. It doesn't matter how hard you try or how positive your attitude is, you're still going to be lost, right? The very first step to getting effective, then, isn't to just run faster. It's to stop, look at your map, and make sure it's the right one.
So once we commit to working on our internal maps, we can get started on the first major stage of growth. Covey calls this the private victory. This is where we build the first 3 habits, and it's all about mastering yourself, moving from being dependent on others to becoming truly independent. And the absolute foundation is habit 1, be proactive. Now, this is so much more than just taking initiative. The core idea is simple but profound. Between what happens to you and how you respond to it, there is a space, a moment of choice. Someone cuts you off in traffic. In that space, do you react with instant anger, or do you choose to let it go? Proactive people live in that space. They use it to choose their response based on their values, not just their feelings.
And you can literally hear this difference in the way people talk. Reactive language sounds like, I can't, or I have to do this. It's passive. But proactive language is, I choose, I can, I will. You're taking control. It's the difference between being a thermometer that just reflects the temperature in the room and being a thermostat that actually sets it.
Okay, so you're in the driver's seat now. You're proactive. But where are you actually going? That brings us to habit 2. Begin with the end in mind. The big idea here is that everything is created twice. First, it's created in your mind, and then it's created in reality. A house is designed with a blueprint before a single brick is laid. This habit is about creating the blueprint for your life before you live it, by getting crystal clear on what truly matters to you.
And this is one of Covey's most powerful metaphors for a reason. So many of us spend our lives working hard, climbing that ladder of success, only to get to the very top and have that sinking feeling. This ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. Habit 2 is all about taking a moment before you start climbing to make sure your ladder is propped up against the right wall.
Now, habit 3 is where the rubber really meets the road. It's called put first things first. Think about it. If habit 1 says you're the creator, and habit 2 is you creating the blueprint, then habit 3 is you actually building the house. It's the day-to-day, moment-to-moment discipline to organize and execute around your deepest priorities. This isn't just about time management, it's about life management.
So how do we actually do that? Covey gives us this incredibly powerful tool, the time management matrix. Now, most of us live in quadrant 1, just constantly putting out fires and dealing with crises, or we get distracted by the noise in quadrant 3 and 4, interruptions and time wasters. But highly effective people, they live in quadrant 2. These are the things that are super important but not urgent. Things like planning, prevention, building relationships, exercise. This is where you stop fighting fires and start fireproofing your life.
And that's really the whole point of this private victory. You can't build effective, trusting relationships with other people until you've mastered the relationship you have with yourself. This internal foundation is what makes everything else, the public stuff, even possible.
Now, with that foundation of independence firmly in place, we are ready for the public victory. This is where we learn how to work effectively with other people, moving from an I mentality to a we mentality. This is where we build amazing things through collaboration, using habits 4, 5, and 6.
Habit 4 is a total mindset shift. Think win-win. See, a lot of us are conditioned to see life as a competition, a zero-sum game. For me to win, you have to lose. But win-win comes from what Covey calls an abundance mentality, the core belief that there's plenty of success to go around for everybody. It's not about my way versus your way. It's about finding a better way, a higher way, together.
Okay, this one is maybe the most important principle of communication you will ever learn. Most of us don't listen with the intent to understand, we listen with the intent to reply. We're just waiting for our turn to talk. Covey urges us to practice empathic listening, to diagnose before we prescribe. A good doctor would never give you a prescription without thoroughly understanding your symptoms first, right? We need to do the same in our conversations.
And this is where the magic really happens. When you combine a win-win mindset with a genuine desire to understand others, you get synergy. That's habit 6. It's the beautiful idea that when we work together and truly value each other's differences, the result we create is far greater than what any of us could have made on our own. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 3, or 10, or 100.
So, you've mastered yourself, you're a master collaborator, but how do you keep it all going? How do you avoid burning out? Well, that brings us to the final crucial habit that literally holds everything else together.
Covey tells this great little story about a woodcutter who's been sawing down a tree for hours and is just exhausted, making almost no progress. Someone comes by and asks him, "Hey, why don't you take a break and sharpen your saw?" And the woodcutter replies, "I can't, I'm too busy sawing." The thing is, we are all that woodcutter sometimes. Because that saw is you. Habit 7, sharpen the saw, is about consistently taking time for renewal across the 4 key dimensions of your life: the physical, the mental, the social and emotional, and the spiritual. Just take a second and think about it. Is there an area here you've been neglecting? This isn't a luxury. This is the habit that makes all the other habits possible.
Okay, so let's bring it all home. How does this all fit together? The goal isn't to wake up tomorrow and be perfect at all 7 habits. That's not realistic. Covey sees this as a journey of continuous growth, not a checklist to be completed.
He calls it the upward spiral. It's a simple, powerful process. You learn a principle, you make a commitment to try it, and then you go out and do it. Each time you go through that cycle, even if it's in a tiny way, you move to a higher level of effectiveness. It's a lifelong path of learning and growing.
So, as we wrap this up, please don't feel overwhelmed. The power here is in starting small. I just want to leave you with one simple question to reflect on. Which single habit, if you just practiced it a little bit better, starting today, would have the biggest positive impact on your life? Just pick one, and start right there.
If you found this breakdown valuable and you want to unpack more huge ideas from the world's greatest books, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button for the Grandy Academy YouTube channel. That way, you won't miss out on our next explainer.
Thanks so much for watching. I'm Alex, and I will see you in the next one.